In the movie Straight Outta Compton, there's a famous scene when NWA is on the bus looking out into the crowd, seeing a bunch of people that don't look like them smashing their CDs into the ground that they actually paid for with their own money, resembling drunk college kids pounding brewskis off the side of their dome. Well, the same rage you will see in music or at a beer party is the same thing that you see in college football, where it's pretty much Crimson Tide versus everyone, because they look at the captain of the ship and say, how can it be? You know who he is, the man, the myth, the process. Nicholas Lou Saban Jr., aka Mr. NWA, which stands for Nick Wins a Lot. But the misconception is that, this thing comes naturally. Winning is hard in life, athletics, business, even in action movies. See, Alabama, they're like Thanos. The rest of college football, some hybrid of the Avengers. Niggas continue to apply pressure to other college football programs by yielding all the infinity stones needed to have a decade of dominance and bring recruits in that continue to become household names. This has only intensified the vilification of the Alabama program, akin to Thanos, with an outcry for a new hero to come about that's comparable in strength and ability. That opponent, the Louisiana State University Tigers, aka the Bayou Bengals. Well, the irony in the situation, Nick Saban used to coach at LSU before parlaying that opportunity into a head coaching job in the league with the Miami Dolphins. Well, his tenure there, a bit tumultuous, so therefore he parlayed that opportunity and took his talents to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And the rest, as they say, is history. Speaking of, now let's say you was at the University of Alabama pre-Nick Saban, the Mike Shula era, early to mid-2000s, where we were getting blown out in homecoming games, but we were still kicking it as if we just won a national championship. And if you were around, you probably went to one of these locations, either here, or even here, for a party, a kickback, or even a mini set. But I'd be remiss if I didn't pour out a little for Rose Towers, where it all started for many people who went to the capstone. Transition to 2007, Saban shows up. What comes with him? Energy, efficiency, sold out stadiums in Bryant-Denny, brand new Crimson ride for parking lot pimping, and a new focus on academics that hadn't been around before. Which leads us to our life lesson for the day. Consistency is the enemy to mediocrity. Now, when Saban showed up, Alabama was 500. Within 3 years, we're hosting the Crystal Ball. But what people fail to realize is that winning is hard. And like Drake said on DJ Khaled's I'm On One, why do you think it all comes so easy? Because it doesn't. Being king of the hill is difficult. So celebrate while you can. But remember, there's always somebody coming to knock you off your hill and take your turf. And believe me, Alabama has done its fair share of celebrating. We have moments like this, and this that have culminated in success over the years. But with that success comes some turmoil. And that turmoil usually leads to Saban acting like this, or this. And this has become par for the course. In fairness though, the coach, there are games where he takes a different approach. For instance, the game of the century, LSU versus Alabama in Bryant-Denny, that ended up with a baseball-like score of 9-6. Losing to the Mad Hatter, who was sipping on grass smoothies for good mojo, isn't ideal. But what Saban did in that moment was take full accountability for the L. That accountability set the tone for 2 months later when Alabama showed up in NOLA and 21 skunked LSU on their home turf, taking them to the Bourbon Street Woodshed. And what happened to Les Miles' career after that? Going straight Kobe Bryant fadeaway mode as he had to go and take a job at the University of Kansas. I mean, the greatest thing to come out of Kansas was Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. And I'm sure Les Miles could have used those ruby red slippers to click-clack his way back into the SEC. And that's part of Saban's job, It's to stave off the rat poison. You know what it is. When the media start hyping you up, like Flavor Flav, telling you how great you are, telling how you belong, telling you how you're supposed to win every year, it's just not realistic. The Ed Orgeron-led LSU Tigers was one of the greatest offenses I've ever seen. Starkly different from the previous matchup that happened almost a decade prior. And with that, you had a coach that probably wasn't as humble as Les Miles portrayed himself to be, where he said he'd be honored to face Alabama again, given the receipts that Orgeron left in Bryant-Denny locker rooms. Wow. The audacity, the temerity, the unmitigated gall of Coach O to be talking that cash money in an Alabama locker room. But it's all right though, because we're about to show them a trick and show them what time it is when we show up for this game in major fashion. And to quote Trey Moe's baby mama, we ain't here for play in Bryant-Denny. Your viewership is highly appreciated, so please visit us at www.writingontheball.com as well as on all social media platforms. Click, follow, like, subscribe, and share. And while you're there, hashtag WOTB. We appreciate your support. Stay tuned for more content, and just like that, we gone.